a little bit more. Oh. Okay, can we go back at all yet?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Hey, Dad?
Yep.
Here, please.
In our last video, got the opportunity to tear down our 6.7 motor. This is the industrial motor that we are converting to front gear train. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, you can understand like what is rear gear train, what is front gear train, can I use an industrial engine in my application?
Hello. All right, so you see this random guy kind of showing up in all the videos. This is my son-in-law, Connor. He actually does this for a living. He's a heavy equipment mechanic. So he's my go-to with a lot of this stuff. He's very knowledgeable, but he's forced labor because he's my daughter's husband. So I get the pleasure of working with him. He's over most weekends with me. And I love doing it.
What I was hoping to accomplish today was to get the engine out, get it on the engine stand, and start getting it cleaned up and torn down, but that did not happen. So Deb helped me with the bumper. I had to hit it with the impact. Hammered on it a little bit, but it honestly came off pretty easy.
These Transcooler lines were really fighting me. So if you're gonna reuse stuff, obviously do it the right way, pull them off. But I actually ordered a whole new line set and a whole new Transcooler, so I didn't need these. I'm not gonna waste 30 minutes trying to fight with these lines, so just cut them off.
We pulled the radiator, and I did not intend on replacing the radiator, but we discovered, or say Connor had the keen eyes to discover that crack.
I don't think it's been out before. The main part to watch is the plastics over here because this is the freaking seal that all this freaking fucks up. And then you also, oh yeah, I would crack, boom, right there.
We found a little bit of an issue. So whenever I'm tearing something down, I'm always making mental notes of kind of what parts need to be replaced. There's no sense in putting something like this all the way back together and putting a broken radiator back in. So you can actually see pretty gnarly crack forming right here on the radiator. So these end caps, these plastic end caps are known for rupturing, and this guy is right about to go. There's no sense in reusing this part. Just take the time, put the correct part in, spend a little bit extra money. That way this doesn't cause you problems in the future. The hardest thing is trying to get the frame to separate.
There really isn't a lot on the internet for that. And the solutions that I've seen people doing are to cut that cross member.
That's crazy.
And I don't feel super comfortable cutting like a structural component of my vehicle.
You weaken it.
So somebody had mentioned that you can put a jack on it and spread it apart. Well, they don't give any details. So I think it's great that we're gonna be able to show that to people. Is it the best way? I don't know, but it's a hell of a lot better than pulling the whole front clip apart. It worked pretty well. Didn't seem overly sketchy.
After you got those body mounts off.
Yeah, body mounts was the key. Yeah.
When you're removing that cross member, make sure that you undo your body bolts first, because if you have your body bolts on the frame, it can't open wide enough. So undo both body bolts, then you'll be able to get your bottle jack in there and open the fenders up so you can pull that cross member out.
Normal teardown stuff, so disconnecting a bunch of wires, disconnecting a bunch of lines. So basically you just kind of go top to bottom.
Front to back.
Yeah, what's connected, what's connected from the engine to the body, and disconnect. Try and make mental notes or take pictures at every step of kind of like what you're taking off. Bag and tag bolts where you can, take pictures where you can't.
I've learned over the years, after doing many car rebuilds, that 3 months from now, I am not going to remember where these bolts went. So I either try and put them back where they came from, so that's what I'm doing right now. And then when I can't put them back where they came from because the part's totally disassembled, I put them in a plastic baggie and I tag that baggie with Sharpie what exactly that part is and where it goes. That way when I'm trying to reassemble this 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road, I can still find the right bolts, put them in the right spots.
it's gonna fall out of the block. Yeah. That thing is itching good. The part that failed.
All right, so this turbo is definitely one of the components that failed. And you can see, I don't know how well it's gonna come across on camera, but the turbine blades are actually completely tore up on the edges because the bearing is so bad that this thing has tons of movement. Like, this shouldn't move at all. I might do a little field trip upstairs and pull out a good turbo, give you guys kind of a sneak peek of a good turbo. But this shouldn't be moving like this. This should be basically static in place. But it was moving so much I was actually eating away at the fan blades. And that's why I think there's a good potential that some of this was making its way through our charged air cooler and all the way into the intake. And I think that's probably where the metal came from that caused our damage to cylinder 1 on the 5.9. All right, despite the obvious here, one is you, one is the guy she told you not to worry about. But the big thing is with this turbo, it's brand new. You can see I cannot move the shaft at all. There's no play. So this is the way a turbo is meant to be. Very, very little movement. It should never be like this where I can jiggle the turbine around in the housing. Turbo's out.
It's gone. Up in the air now, I think, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that trans disconnected. Realistically, we just need to pull the trans out, transfer case out, because I gotta tear apart the transfer case and put in that new input shaft, and then I gotta take the trans over and drop it off to Randy's.
Alright, let's do this.
Do it!
I see why he said so, yeah, it's a little rocky.
And then we pulled the trans and transfer case as one unit, which I will not do again. That was super sketchy. It's like the whole time to do some sketchy shit, doodah. So what I typically do is I would pull the transfer case out separately on it, you know, put it on the transjack, put it down, and then I would put the transjack under the trans pan instead of the cross member like we had it, put it under the trans pan, and then pull that out separately. We were looking at it, and after experiencing that every single bolt on this truck has fought us, there's a couple of transfer case bolts that are impossible to get to when it's mounted in the truck. So we made a decision because we could get to the, the bell housing bolts and stuff like that relatively easy. We're like, okay, let's take it out as a unit and we'll just keep the cross member attached and pull the whole thing down. But where we had the transjack put the whole assembly kind of off balance, and that made it sketchy. And then also it's like, you come to the realization, it's like, okay, we got to get this off the transjack onto the ground. And it's a very heavy assembly. It's not on there very stable. So Connor had the good call on how to use the forklift to kind of stabilize that whole assembly, and we got it out safely, so that was great. And another shout out, forklift. Great. World's best trade. Few engine parts for a forklift, I'll do it 20 times again.
Just make sure the charger's right.
Yeah. But that truck is so filthy, crusty, never been torn down. Like, Connor and I were fighting tooth and nail with every single bolt. I think I broke off like 5 bolts. You fight all the bolts. Like, you go out there, chipper and hopeful for a great, fantastic day, but then, the first bolt you break off, you go, damn it. Then you get to the second bolt and you're like, okay, I don't know if I like doing this anymore. And then like by the 10th one, you're just numb to it and want to give up on life. Literally the entire bottom of that truck, everything you take off is covered in inches of dirt. And there's been multiple oil leaks, trans leaks, power steering fluid leaks. So there's caked on grease covered filth everywhere.
I think the only fluid that's not leaking is the brake.
Yeah, it's because it's rusted shut down.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotta give a shout out to Connor.
Yeah,
Connor's like, he always comes over and helps me. This is one of those things you can't, like, it's good to have a buddy. And Connor's my buddy, my shop buddy. And without him coming over, like some of this stuff you can do by yourself, but it is really hard, really sketchy. So having an extra set of hands that are capable and knowledgeable is excellent to have around. So always appreciate Connor's help.
It doesn't hurt that he's your son too.
Yeah. He has to be my friend.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. You're flexing the paint.
That's West strength right there.
I'd say so. I am the graduate at the top of my class for flashlight holding.
Take the connecting rod off the starter first. Once you get that out of the way, then
Once you get that out of the way.
The lights just turned on. I saw the headlights just turned on.
My fat ass got in the way.
Sorry. Did we do this for no reason?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, do that little inspection.
God damn it, Connor.
Blooper reel. There's so many. So many.
That was